welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Ministers of Agriculture from the OECS sub-region will converge here from tomorrow for a major two-day summit to address the implementation of the recently crafted Food and Agriculture Systems Transformation FAST strategy. The summit will commence tomorrow, Thursday, August 31st, with the Council of Ministers meeting, and Day 2, Friday, September 1st, an active interaction with the private sector. The sessions will be held at the NIS conference room. The FAST strategy was recently launched in Grenada and was created to encompass central pillars inclusive of establishing a more efficient and sustainable methods for food and agriculture production, processing, and distribution in order to offset rising food costs, ensuring that the general public can access affordable and healthy foods.
The FAST strategy for the OECS is one of the key components in terms of we trying to reduce the food input bills, and secondly to produce sufficient food to feed our people.
The FAST strategy is critical in ensuring competitive and sustainable food and agriculture production to combat the rise in food prices and to ensure that citizens can have access to affordable and healthy foods.
I take this opportunity to welcome the Ministers of Agriculture from the other OECS member states to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Over the next few days, stakeholders throughout the agriculture sector will be hearing about the FAST strategy.
We also want to deal with the whole question of transportation among the OECS nations, the question of marketing, the issue of networking. Those are some of the areas that we really want to address, and the issue of increasing production at a level that is sustainable, where we can maintain and not just for 2 years or 3 years or for a particular project, but we want to make sure that we put systems in place that we have a sustainable development project.
We are here to ensure that there's food and nutrition security throughout the entire OECS sub-region.
Dr. Didacus Joe said the FAST strategy represents the first comprehensive effort by the OECS to put in place a structured program for transformation of the agriculture sector in member states within the context of the integration movement.
What is critical about it is that it is coming at a time when we have had a very clear indication of the importance of taking agriculture seriously, the question of food security. And we are looking at the FAST strategy is meant to not just address the issues of production, but it takes a comprehensive look at all dimensions of agriculture and its intersection with other critical areas like health, nutrition, and export opportunities. In the context of the post-COVID environment, the lessons we learned from that, the continuing crises around the world, the war in Ukraine, supply chain difficulties, it has become very necessary for us to ensure that we have food self-sufficiency within the OECS. So this is, in essence, what the FAST strategy is about. It's a strategy for the transformation of the agricultural sector to achieve those objectives.
Dr. Jules said at the two-day summit here in SVG, agriculture ministers from the various member states will be reporting on the commitments made to meet the objective of FAST.
And what we want to do is to actually map out the architecture that will drive that strategy forward, and to make sure that that architecture is as integrated as possible, that every aspect is touched. We're looking at the production piece, the distribution part, the logistics, the role of the private sector, the role of government, the role of producer associations, so that what we want to come out of that is a full agreement on the entire architecture for driving the FAST, as well as to have a commitment from each ministry that the entire ministry will be geared towards that implementation process. Well, for us, communication around a matter like that is really important, and we believe it's actually a very firm principle that we adhere to in the OECS now, that discussions on matters like agriculture, food security, nutrition, health, all of these discussions can no longer just happen in the chambers of government, in ministerial meetings, behind closed doors. There needs to be an engagement with what I call the public street. And the general public needs to understand what is happening, be part of the debate and the discussion. Equally important, all stakeholders, we need to ensure that their voices are heard and listened to. Because at the end of the day, none of these initiatives can succeed if the persons who are most affected and impacted by them do not have a voice in the process of shaping the initiative as well as in the implementation of the initiative, so that they can optimize the benefits that they receive from these initiatives.
Friday's panel discussion, which will address the different aspects of the OECS FAST strategy, will hear from presenter Stanford Edwards, expert in developmental finance with specialization in finance structuring, agriculture and SME finance and climate renewable energy, a finance for small island developing states. Professor Leonardo Ogaro, plant pathologist, biotechnologist and regional agribusiness advisor. Sunita Daniel, Chief Executive Officer of Export St. Lucia, the national agency responsible for trade and export promotion in St. Lucia, and Damian Bowen, Managing Director of one of the region's largest insurance brokers, Lynch Caribbean Brokers. A mini agricultural trade fair was held yesterday as part of a joint collaboration between OSV Group and St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Cooperative Credit Union. The agriculture fair held at the SVG-TCCU headquarters aims to develop, expand, and strengthen SVG's agriculture and fisheries sector to enhance the socio-economic growth and to promote financial independence and stability in rural communities. In her welcoming remarks, Education and Marketing Committee member of the SVG-TCCU, Latanya Grant, said that the initiative comes at a time when entrepreneurs are seeking opportunities to expand their production capabilities.
Investing in cutting-edge equipment for planting, irrigation, organic feed production, safety gears, and also engines to expand for fleet expansion. We invite all farmers and fisher folks to capitalize on this opportunity by referring the product to fellow entrepreneurs to start or improve their businesses by utilizing one or more equipment on display or enjoying the benefits of the agriculture loan from TCCU.
Minister of Agriculture Sabota Caesar told the opening ceremony for the agricultural fair that a person should sow good seeds wherever they go, highlighting that the country is at a very important juncture in its development where leading institutions are willing to collaborate with persons in the agriculture sector.
10 years ago, many lending institutions were very shy to work with farmers, particularly so since we had the decline of the banana industry because of the removal of trade preferences. But I am seeing some green shoots over the last 4 years, and particularly over the last 2 years, where lending institutions are willing to work closer with stakeholders in the agriculture sector to be able to create sustainable facilities so that the farmers can receive the necessary financing.
Minister Caesar further added that in order to develop a country, there are 4 things we must get right.
That in order to develop a country, there are 4 things you must get right. 1, you must get the policy right. From the policy standpoint, the Ministry of Agriculture will be creating the enabling environment, making sure that the crops that we introduce are good crops, ensuring that the technicians in the ministry, that they do their work in extension and give you the support necessary. But the government could only create the enabling environment. We have to reduce it, these ideas and thoughts that we have and the vision that we have, to some form of writing. Whether it's a law, a contract or an agreement. And for those persons who are here who at some point in time or in the past participated in a contractual arrangement between yourself and the lending institution, I want us to be very honest in our honoring of these agreements. Because you hold the future of lending in your hands, because if all of us gathered here today, if we come out of this in a positive manner, and we repay our loans, it would encourage the institution to lend more, and it will encourage OSV to negotiate with the lending institution to provide more for the farmers.
Meanwhile, some of the farmers who attended and participated in the agriculture trade fair yesterday said that they feel very excited about the future of agriculture. Sandy Bay farmer and teacher Stelroy Dean said he is happy for the farming tools that are offered, which will make farming much easier.
Well, farming part-time is very important. I'm able to plant produce that I eat. I have animals, so whenever I need animals to eat, I can kill my own animal and have something to eat. You don't have to go to the market and buy it. There's some equipment down there, especially those that is used to plow the land. Because right now in my area, because of all the ashes, it's extremely difficult to do manual labor, where you have to use a hoe. It's difficult to really dig up that ash. So these machines are very important and coming very useful for farmers above the river.
North Leeward farmer Pat Otley said that seeing the benefits of farming after being a vegetable and livestock farmer for a number of years, he is hoping that the other initiatives like the agriculture fair will take place regularly to attract the young people to farming and the agriculture sector.
At this moment, there are great things ahead to be happening, right? And in terms of vegetables, I can tell you that it's quite interesting now to be involved in vegetable production. The fact there is a great demand, because I look at from for this whole year, I had no problem with marketing. It is one of the easiest time I got things sell for this period here. Whereas the fact that I recognize that there is an aging population, right? And right now, it's very, very difficult getting the young folks. But what I'm saying now, if the government, I could say the ministry, if they can make it be more as to attract the young people. Because what we say now, there's a lot of farm equipments that farmers can use. Their greenhouse, their hydroponic. If farmers happen to be involved in some of these things, I think they may be able to generate, because it's not all about the dirty work, right? But if we have some like the other new ventures and so on, I think able to capture some of the people. Everybody is just taking a hoe and so on and be dirty. They are away from that, you see.
In other news now, as the National Insurance Services, the NIS seeks to implement pension reforms. Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Salves maintains that the Social Security Agency is sound. At a news conference yesterday, Prime Minister Gonsalves said today, tomorrow, and with reforms that are going to be instituted, the National Insurance Services NIS remains and will be by far the best investment that any working person can make with their money.
The money which you put in now for your life, for the time when you work, and you, on an average, you live some 15 or so years after you reach your retirement. All what you put in at the lower level of the income scale, you get back between 18 months and 2 years all the money that you put in. And at the higher level, between 3 to 4 years, all the money that you put in. And then what you get after, more than all the money that you put in, sorry. And then when you get in after that, is brata and brata and brata. From what? From employers' contribution and from investment monies. You hear me?
Noting that he might not be around by 2034 when the NIS funds are projected to be depleted without reform, Prime Minister Gonsalves said he still has a responsibility to look ahead so that the reforms which ought to be made will not be reforms which will hurt workers.
And if I'm not around, Ants will bring the news to me and tell me, people saying, praise God, that Ralph did institute the reforms. People will bring the news. Ants will bring the news, give me, as old people say. If you're not a Caribbean personality, if you're not a Vincentian, you wouldn't understand that. Ants will bring the news, give me. Now, another truth is that the NIS, under this leadership and under the leadership of Stuart Haynes, this political leadership, and under the leadership of Stuart Haynes, and also before that, Reggie Thomas, the NIS has been a well-run organization. You're not going to have any perfect organization, but a well-run organization.
According to the Prime Minister, there are a number of structural challenges facing the NIS and SVG, like other countries, in different ways and at different levels, hence the reasons why the reforms have to be made. However, he said there must be a leadership courageous enough to do the reforms.
First, out the block, the NIS was generously designed, both in terms of low contributions and huge benefits. Are you with me? 1987 to now is 36 years, still at 10%. And we only recently went up to 10%. Just a couple of years ago, we went up to 10%, half and half, employer and employee. But what was the benefit in respect of your insurable income? Up to 60% of your insurable income you will get as your pension. The other systems, 50%. For your sickness benefit, 60% they will pay you. Generously designed, both in relation to the contributions you have to pay and in relation to the benefits what you're getting. I just told you that you put in your money as a worker. At the low end, what you put in over your entire working life, you get it back 18 months, 2 years. What you, at the higher level, 3 to 4 years. The second point is this, structurally. When you have an NIS which is not yet mature, and it's now in a stage of maturation, you had more people making contributions than people retiring because the system young. But as the system matures now 36 years, you have more retirees to a contributor. That is as the system matures. An additional issue which comes on to that with the maturation of the system is the demographics. What do I mean by this? The composition of the population. People are living longer, and the growth of the population is slowed, so that over a time you will have the growth of fewer younger people coming onto the system as contributors than those retiring. Between the 2001 and the 2012 censuses, the over 60 population increased by over 30%, the highest movement, the highest increase in any sector of the population.
Noting that as a result of the 2020-2021 census, a determination was made that over time, with the maturation of the systems, the NIS, and the aging of the population, the contribution income was not able to pay all the benefits, all the retirement pensions and sickness benefits because of the generosity of the NIS fund, and that as a result of this, payments had to come out of investment income. According to the Prime Minister, the NIS has assets of about $500 million. However, it is important that the NIS invests its monies wisely. He pointed out that there was a downturn in the economy during the COVID-19 period, and the NIS lost monies on its investments overseas. And though the local investments helped, including those borrowed by the government through bonds, the monies were not sufficient to offset the losses on the investments overseas, forcing the institution to go into its reserves. He also noted that during the first half of this year, the investment climate overseas has improved, and the NIS saw a return of about $10 million against the previous year of just over $2 million. The opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, is calling on the ULP government to take immediate action to tackle what it deems as a cost of living crisis, noting that families across the country are struggling to pay for their children's educational supplies for the upcoming school year. In a news release issued today, the party said that children across the country are set to return to school on Monday, September 4th, 2023. However, most families now face with the challenge of paying for new school books and equipment amid a cost of living crisis that is burdening our country. The NDP calls on the government to immediately put in place a tax holiday on school items ahead of the new school term, implement a broad-based policy on transportation to ease the financial burdens on parents in sending their children to school, and provide adequate funding to the school feeding program. Noting that in June, inflation rose 5.3%, the highest it has been in 14 years. Putting a greater burden on Vincentians, the NDP said despite this, the government has failed to take action on tackling the cost of living crisis. The release quoted the president of the NDP, Dr. Godwin Friday, as saying, quote, "It is shameful that our government has done nothing to help Vincentians struggling with the high cost of living. Only last week, during a walkabout in East St. George, a constituent was telling me his concerns about the cost of getting his children ready for the new school year. People need support now. That is why the NDP is proposing a 5-point action plan that would provide a real tangible support to persons. Families are worried about the cost of living ahead of the coming school year," unquote. The NDP said during this difficult period, it has a clear plan to ease the burden that families are facing by building the national economy so that it can support families and parents who struggle with the cost associated with education. The NDP's plan includes reduce VAT from 16% down to 13%, reduce the customs service charge, the big tax on everything, increase support for lower-income families, reduce the impact of the fuel surcharge on VINLEC bills. Immediately review the list of VAT items with a view to increase the number of zero-rated items. In other news, the General Employees Cooperative Credit Union, GECU, today commenced its 10th annual Youth Leadership Symposium under the theme Embracing the Pathway to Success. The two-day symposium, taking place at the Anglican Pastoral Center in New Montrose, aims to better develop the GECU scholarship holders. In her welcome remarks, representative of the GECU Scholarship Committee, Bernice Roberts, said that because they recognize the academic potential of the students, they host the Leadership Symposium annually to help guide the scholarship recipients.
To tap into that and challenge you to continue to be the best that you can be. Just the fact that you are a GECU scholar, that says something about you. As a matter of fact, it doesn't just say something, it says some things about you. What are some things that it says about you? It says that you're focused. You do not just end up being a GECU scholar just like that. It says that you're committed to hard work. It says that you have a level of discipline. So even though as adults at times we might feel that, you could be more disciplined and you're not spending your time as wisely as we think, the fact that you're able to perform well enough academically to get a GECU scholarship and continue to perform to keep the scholarship, it says a lot about you. So we are very proud and happy to have you this morning. And again, I just want to extend warmest welcome to you. And I hope that as you stay with us today and tomorrow, that you would feel at ease, you would feel happy, you feel comfortable. And hopefully for those who are here for the first time this morning and you felt a bit apprehensive, by tomorrow morning you'll feel a lot better. Yes, and you wouldn't feel as shy and why am I here?
President of GECO, Michael Sawyer, encouraged the participating students in the Youth Leadership Symposium to view success not only to get money, but ensure that they leave a positive impact in whatever they do.
When we think of success, a lot of the times we think in terms of money. We think about, I'm successful if I have a lot of money, I'm successful if I earn a lot, or if I have a very good job or a big position. But I want you to think a little differently today. I want you to think of success, not just in terms of finances, but in terms of your impact. In other words, what sort of a difference am I going to be able to make in this life that would leave a legacy, an impression on the lives of the people around me? And the reason for that is because sometimes you will have money, but when we all pass on to the great beyond, anything that we have accumulated, finances, gold, whatever it is, you can't take it with you. And very soon, if we don't have or create a great impact on the people around us, we will soon be forgotten. But when you think of the people whose name you remember, if I say Martin Luther King, if I say Albert Einstein, it doesn't have to be that you are a genius or that you have achieved something at that level, but achieve and see success as something that you look to and strive to do and strive to become and strive to achieve as something that creates an impact on the lives of the people around you. And so I want to encourage you, as you go through these sessions, think about that. Think about, how am I going to be successful in this life? Not just in terms of a job or a title, but how am I going to affect positively the lives of the people around me? And so I want to encourage you, strive to be your best, strive to do your best, strive to become the best that you can possibly be, with all of the gifts and all of the talents and all of the blessings that you have been given and all of the privileges that you receive. Be grateful to God, be grateful to your parents, be grateful to those persons who invest in you, and make it your job to invest in the other people who God will place in your life.
There is a lot being done in the healthcare system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, more needs to be done to motivate the elderly to accept help from others. This is according to contestant number 7 in the Miss SVG pageant 2023, Samisha Millington, while discussing her GECO community service project on the silver economy.
There are a lot of programs set in place for them. It is just them not taking advantage of it. A lot of elderly persons have the mentality that bush is the only medication that they need and they don't need a doctor. So I think where it comes to improving healthcare is just finding new ways of motivating them to come out and seek care and ask for help. Not a lot of persons even take this into consideration and say to themselves, that is true. I haven't seen Miss Delpesh in a while. I haven't seen Miss Ross in a while. Let me give them a call. Let me see if they're okay. And sometimes, you can't wait until it's too late, until you 100% not seeing them anymore when you hear she went away or she passed away, unfortunately. So it is an opportunity to strike a big impact on persons mentally, to bring awareness so they can know that, okay, I need to start looking out for my elderlies and encouraging whether it be mom, aunt, and dad, that they don't have to let the age slow them down. They could look out for new opportunities. They don't have to be home waiting for us to come back. They could go, they could pick up a new hobby and just keep themselves active.
Millington says several improvements can be made at the various nursing homes across the country and that she will be using her community service project to highlight these.
For example, my Rock Your Key Day. That is a day that you could socialize, and socialization is a very big factor. When you're older, you need to get out, you need to have fun still. Another thing they could do is improve their outdoor facilities, to have like a yard, somewhere they could go, they could exercise, they could stretch their legs or just be out in the sun. And have more activities where you take them away from such an enclosed area. Take them to the beach or take them to the garden, just so they could feel like they are part of this world still and they could see everything that is happening on the outside. There are a lot of things that are being done online, and even some of the news articles are not always in the paper as they're accustomed to. Now a lot of stuff are going online. Even your bills are now being online. And this might be a little bit of a struggle for them, having to adapt to a cellular device or a computer. And that is one challenge I think they face. Another challenge I also think they might be facing is to be accepted out in society and being respected for who they are and were, because a lot of our elderly were a part of building St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They are core, they are pillars, and if they're just walking along the street, they might not feel and be respected as they are now, but they know that they did a lot of things to help build St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I think they might struggle with the feeling of acceptance into our society in this day.
Millington, sponsored by Couriers Ace Hardware, commenced their service on a Monday at the Kittels Police Station under the theme Uncovering Rocks. Corporal of Police Elroy Kwame, who is serving as an instructor at the police training school, says that having a qualified educational background can make a person not only marketable, but given the opportunity or consideration for promotion and recognition in the working environment. Corporal Kwame and Sergeant Sean Chandler were guests on the Police on the Beat program yesterday, discussing Beyond the Badge, policing, education, and the bigger picture.
I think it largely comes with responsibility also, because when I spoke about earlier, I said it comes with responsibilities. Persons look up to you and they tend to add more responsibilities to you because you would have proven that you are you have the capability to withstand the pressures, because this academic journey is not easy.
Yes.
And persons could see that, and if you're able to excel in that area and then you're looking at your performance on the job, just definitely it will come with more responsibilities. And I also think that, as I said, it makes you more marketable, and so you may be in a light of for more, to be at a little more advantage when it comes to
Sergeant Chandler said having a strong educational background can provide advantages in the workplace, while intensify problem-solving skills and knowledge.
To better performance and opportunities for advancement. For example, the radio operator class sheet course, I did it in Trinidad. If a task arises in my workplace, having basic knowledge of that task gives me and the senior job more easier and efficient, because all I doing is just elaborating a little on what I already know.
That's
so
right.
Me developing myself can make the work more easier. So if a task arises, I already study in that field, making the job more easier. It means when you have a academic background, you can use that academic background to make the work life more easier, which entails persons you work with, communication skills, psychology and physiology. And these stuff came into place where you can now use those stuff that he studies to make the job more easier and more efficient.
Corporal Kwame noted that his academic background has impacted his decision-making skills as an officer to develop critical thinking.
Having to be able to grasp the information that is usually pelted towards you when it comes to university, and so you have to get in line and you have to develop that mentality. When you come on the job, when you are faced as police officers, you are faced with different situations. There's when your critical thinking skills comes into play. So you're able to exercise that. You're able to build on that through the academic journey, and then when you come into reality, you're able to put that into practice, right? And so I was able to build on that, and so now I can boast and I can say I can come on a radio program, television program, and I can speak.
That's right.
Prior to doing that, I would have been so scared. I would have probably might have torn you down, right? When it comes to interacting with people, because forensic psychology is not only about more the criminal aspect. It has to do with dealing with victims. It has to do with other police officers, counseling, and all these kind of things. And I was able to be equipped now, and I can boast and I can say, if today, tomorrow, there's whatever my services are needed, I'll be readily available to provide these services confidently, all because of my academic journey and the skills that I would have developed throughout that period, and now it is being manifested now in the job, on the day-to-day job.